Hello, I'm Lihao and welcome back. We have been working on a file-based client-side routing library for the past few videos. If this is the first video you're watching, don't worry. Links to the whole playlist on the description in the section below. Just click on that and watch the previous videos and you will catch up and join us now. Well, not now, but join us after the video, right? So what we have talk about so far, right? So for the past few videos, we have been focusing more on the file-based routing, on the script to read through the folder structure and then generate a route's definition. So we have been able to have a very basic workable script that reads through the folder structure and generates a route's definition for us. But now we still have to work on how to convert the parameters in the file name into actual parameters that we will pass in as the route's definition. So that's what we're going to work on in this video. Sorry to jump in, but I got an important thing to tell you, which is that if you're following along, coding along with me, the code for all this is on the GitHub repo. Link in the description. Just follow along. If you miss any steps, each changes are in individual commits. So you can just check out that commit and take a look at what you are missing. Now follow along. So let's take a look at our script so far. This is our generate route script. Let me expand this. Okay, so this is our script so far. We've been looping through our routes and then be able to get each segment of the routes and do some processing on the route segments. And then basically, this is our very basic implementation of generating the regular expression out of the route segment so that we use it to be our URL tester, URL regular expressions to test whether the URL matches the current URL. And then for components, we've only able to do like one components, and this is working. We dynamic import based on the relative path. So here we have to actually, these segments here and here, we're gonna extract this into a function and I'm gonna call it extract into a function. Call it get regex. Right. So this is the path that you get, and I think even this we can. So we're just going to pass in relative path, and this whole thing going to get regular expressions, and this will be passed in over here. So this is what we're going to focus on over here. This is relative path. Okay. So we have all the segments. What is this? Semicolons over here. We have our segments. This one we return. We have our segments, and we have to, I think, we're gonna loop through each segment. I'm trying to map to something, right? So map to like a kind of like a regex expressions. Actually, okay, so here so this I need to rename actually, because this gives us regex, and I think we can at the same time gives us the parameters as well. So I'm going to call this get regex. Whoops. And params. And here I'm going to create the params as an array. I'm going to return this two things, right? One is regex. Regex is this. And the params is this one. And here, let's go back. Here we get the regular expression, regex, and the params. And they use the regular expression here and somehow use the parameters over here. So this is going to be params.map param, and then do something. I'm going to join a comma /n. So this is also something we need to do later on, but let's focus on the get regular expressions and params function over here. So in this function, we already split the components by segments. I see. So I think we can have the length of the segment equals to segment length. And we're gonna go through processing one segment by one segment at a time. Each segment, we're gonna map it to something that we can use. I've said this quite a few times. Let me think about it. Okay, it's okay. So we're gonna map. Okay, I think I know what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna have a regular expression segment as an array as well, params as an arrays as well, and then later on, I am gonna use this regex segments to join here, params be used here, right? So here I don't have to. I can say for segment of segments. Okay, I need the index to also do this thing. I just do everything together at once. So let I equals 0, I less than segments. The length is this one, length I plus plus. Then segment equals to the segments I. Okay, if make it let first. If this I equals to segments length minus 1, so we have this already, length minus 1, then segment equals to empty string, and then later on we need to also do something over here to handle dynamic parameters, and at last we push these segments to this regex segment array, right? And that's how we get this over here. Okay, then we can clear all this and we join this, right? So instead of going through maps, like mapping or mutate the array directly, we just loop through each segments and then process it and then push it to the regex segments array over here, and we use this array to join. And at the same time also we're going to push to params array if we found any parameters, right? So here we can start to detect any parameters. If segment index of this one is greater than -1, which means if you found anything, then you have to do something, right? So if this, then of course we have to do some sanity checking first, right? Sanity checking, like contains whether it starts with a whether the brackets comes after the closing brackets, or number of brackets is the same as number of closing brackets. Yeah, those sanity check. You want me to write them? Okay, I'll try to write them out as well. Okay, see. See how we can write this. Okay, let's do a for loop, one pass for loop through all the characters, right? So here we have our segments. Say for example, it's A, and then A, and then B, and then C, right? So we're gonna have a variable that is like the index of what we are looking at, and then we're gonna increment that one by one and look through all the characters. Whenever we encounter a plus character over here, whenever we open brackets, then we record it down, and then we also keep track of the coming subsequent characters. And I think for this case, if you encounter another open brackets, it's wrong, right? Because this makes no sense. And if you encounter the end of the string, also it is wrong, because it makes no sense. And at any point in time, if you haven't encountered any open brackets and you encounter closing brackets, it is also wrong because you forgot to open the brackets, right? So we're gonna have a variable that will be the index, and we'll just move forward and look at the characters, character by character, one character at a time. And as we encounter, as if we are in this opening brackets, I think we can have since you can only have one opening brackets until it's been closed, we can have it as a state called is opening equals to false by default initially. And let's see, is opening, and then of course we have our index equals to 0. Then we have our loop to do that. For let's index. Okay, I think this we don't have to define it here. Oops. Let's index equals 0, index less than the segment dot length index plus plus. So the character is equals to segment index, and if we encounter an opening, right, we say that if it's opening, then we throw error, new error. What is this relative path? Okay, invalid path. This one contains encounter opening bracket after another opening brackets. Okay, so if it's opening, then we throw this error. If it's not opening, then yeah, that's great. So we can opening goes to true. Then I guess that's it for whenever we encounter this. So else if we encounter closing brackets, then if it's not opening, we also throw an error, invalid path, encounter this before any opening brackets. And okay, so if we're not wrong, then we are finished, which means that we should store this B somewhere, right? When we go from here, when it starts opening, we need to record any character with encounter somewhere, so that when we are close, we know that this is finished. Like if it's BAAA, here we know it's finished. We go through character by character, right? So we encounter BAAAA and a closing bracket. So we need to store all this somewhere. So when they encounter a closing brackets, we can take this and push it to a params. So this is a parameter name. So we need a variable, and I'm gonna call it a param name equals to empty string for now. So by now we should have param name. So if param name is equals to empty string, then we also will throw an error. Okay, let's open all this. Invalid path encounter without parameter name. Okay, so if this is invalid parameter name, then we are going to push to the params array. Params, the push, gonna have name equals to parameter name. Later on, the parameters will have the name as well as a few other things like matching, as well as whether it is a rest, right? So I think we can handle the rest first. So rest, let rest equals to false. So we store this as well. But for the matching, we're going to handle it later on. So here we are done with the parameters. And also we need to set is opening equals to false. Now it's not opening anymore. So here, if it's not an open character, it's not a closing one, then else if character is, let's see, there's a few more characters that it is possible. The dots and and other characters. I think for dots, right, we can handle a special case. So it's opening here already, then we also check if the next character immediately, is it the +1? It's a dot. And dots, we can have 3 dots, right? In our folder here, we have 1, 2, 3, 3 dots for rest. So if this is true, if we have 3 dots, +1, +2, +3, we have 3 dots, then we're going to set rest to true. And we need to also skip all these things, right? So we're going to index plus equals 3 like this. So here we don't have to handle this dot anymore. But in the closing, right, we not just resetting the is opening to false, we also have to set the rest to false. Just reset everything. Right, rest and this parameters name also need to reset. Params name equals to empty string. Okay. I think we, instead of resetting, we just initialize it correctly. So here we can wait, hold on, this is only happens like this, and then else rest is equals to false, and then param name should be empty, reset. And yep. And if it's other characters, else, then if it's other characters, then we check if is opening, then we're gonna push the characters to the param name. So param name equals to param name plus the character, right? Else it will be something else. It will be this character or this character. I think we still need to keep it somewhere, right? We need to how do we save this? Okay, I'm gonna have a variable called path. No, path name. Okay, just call it path. Here, else equals to plus equals to the correct path name plus the character. Wait, this plus equals, that will do. I think this one also plus equals to. Wait, I think there's some syntax error. Where is it? Here looks okay. Here looks okay. Okay, let's just try to run the code and see where the syntax error is. Unexpected token here, else. Oh, okay, because we do this. Okay. Path name. So we have our parameters, we have our paths. I think for parameters name, this is confusing. So here, as we go down, okay. I think this path's name, this just keep adding this, right? So here at the start, our path name will be empty, and then we just add here, right? So we add to be A, path name to be A, and as we encounter this, right, then we reset param name rest and is opening over here, and then we whenever any characters we encounter, we just assume it's a parameter name. So we don't push to part name, but we build up our parameter name. As soon as we finish this, then we know our parameter name, we push to a new parameters. Actually, we also know that the regex here is to add something like a non-slash, right? Like and make it a capturing group. Right? We've learned this. If you look over here for this shop, we have this thing to be pushed into here. So I think this is not a. So we want to push it in here. So this part name is actually something like a regex string. Right, so we just build up the regex string as we move on. And as we encounter a closing one, we're gonna push this thing to the regular expression string. And so how do we push it? Here, we're gonna say if, okay. We also need to check whether it's a rest or not, because if it's a rest, then we have a different capturing groups. Right? So if it's rest, then we do something different. If it's not, then we're gonna push this string in. And so regex string plus equals to this one. So if it's a rest, then here let's go see what we have for rest. And if it's for rest, then this is our capturing group. Actually, I think we just need like this. Can we? Let's see whether this works. Because it's weird to keep having this at the. Let's see. Yep, this is a valid one. Okay. Yep. So I think I'm gonna change our regular expression again a bit. So it's like you have this at both sides, then might as well just take this out and have it here, right? Since it's also not part of any capturing group, it's just a group. So here, this is what we're gonna have, and this is actually this part we have actually added it for all of the routes later on, right? In the regular expressions, we have this already. So you just need this part if it's a rest parameters. It's gonna push this regex string plus equals to this one. Need to skip the escape character. And so we have our regular expression segments. Okay, basically in this case, this segment itself will gonna be the regular expression string, a regex string. Right, after we loop through, we have params and everything, and then here at the end of the loop, the segment is actually the regex string now, where we have replaced some of the things with regular expressions, and then here we push it in. Of course, before that, we also talked about we need to do validation if you have an open but without closing one. So here, if we check if is opening is still true, then we need to throw an error. Let me copy the error. This is going to be invalid path unclose unclose this, right? Unclose square opening brackets. Save this. Let's see. I think we are almost there. So I think we are quite there, right? So let's try and run this. See what we get in our generated code. Everything looks okay. No errors. And then take a look at our regular expressions that we have. Capturing group looks great. Although there's an extra this thing. Kind of, right? Extra, feels like an extra. But let's see. Here, for the item, looks great. okay, I think we kind of miss one regular expression string, right? Missing one segment somewhere. Why is that so? Oh wait, here. If it's the last one, we just make it turn into a string. No. If it's the last one, and if the segment value is equals to index, that's only when we turn it into empty string. Let's run this. Again, no errors, right? So let's take a look at our code. So here the A, okay, so this is the A. Looks the same. Compare left, right. Looks the same. Wow, proud of myself. Now the item, B, C, this one we've seen just now. For this one, we have item, and then we have two capturing groups, right? And compare left and right. Looks the same. Looks the same to me. Yes, we are there. Shop, I think since this item works, this shop works as well. It does, and congratulations, we made it. So now we've already changed this to a parameters. So if we're trying to run a regex with parameters, so if you try to run the server based on our generated codes, you realize that now it's you can go to say shop 123 and it works. It's just that now we don't have the parameters yet, right? So this maps to a empty an object that has no names, because parameters has no names. We didn't capture the capture group, but this works now, kind of. Still have some errors, but we figured that out. Okay, so I believe that's because we have undefined items in the params, and that's just caused issues. But we're gonna fix it. So here our params. Let's take a look at what we have in our params. Do we print it out? No, we did not. So we're gonna print out what we have in our params and see whether we are very close to the results. So in the params, let's see, generates. So the params is as the name and rest true. I think that's quite nice. So we are going to generate an object that has the name. Okay, so we're gonna use literal. This one is the name, and the rest. Name equals to name with quotes over here like this, and then actually I think we can just do this. Stringify this so that it handles if it has like single quotes in the name, then at least it can be escaped by JSON stringify. Rest is rest. So true or false. Okay, so let's save. Generate again. Let's take a look at our generated codes. So we have shop ID, it's false, name this. Okay, here is empty. This is something. Okay, it looks good. This is valid syntax. So if I try to format the file, it looks cleaner and it is valid. So that's why my formatter can work. And let me try to run dev. And let's take a look. Our page is working. Yay! We managed to get the transform the parameters into a regular expressions. We also managed to extract the parameters name and then generates the parameters array, so that once we have this tool, then our client-side routing library that we had written earlier on, able to capture and convert them into props that pass into our route components. So wow, give yourself a pat. Made it. So the next thing we need to do is, of course, this is of course not a valid route. We don't want this. We don't want to go to here and say item with layout and then see this. This is not what we want. Want to fix this, right? So this is what I'm gonna fix in the next video. So do subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when the next video is out. So see ya, bye bye.